Dera and Pragpur, Himachal Pradesh, India. Welcome, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
A warm, healthy namaste to all the respected dignitaries, respected gurus, avid ethno experts from all over the world, and
Sir, please make it a full screen, sir.
okay, sir, okay. Is it okay now, sir?
Yeah, okay, sir. Please continue, sir.
So, a warm, healthy namaste to all the respected teachers, all the avid ethno-medical experts, and sincere audience from all over the world. As we all know the importance of Guru in our lives. So, before beginning, I want to pay a tribute to all the Gurus of the world who showed us the right track in all aspects of our lives. So, a little prayers. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. With this, I bow my head with heartfelt thanks to all the respected teachers, and special thanks to Dr. Azayan sir for inspiring me and encouraging me to put forth little of my observations in front of you. I wish these observations may be innovative, inspiring, and of some personal and professional relevance to the field related with ethnomedicines. So let's start. During my presentation, the content which I will discuss, number one, little self-introductions, then ethnomedicine, what is the need to explore this field, then ethnomedical related observations of the two remote areas during my service in HP government. These observations include traditional herbs, healers, food, vegetables, fruit, drinks, traditional way of serving food, and unexplored herbs that you may help to identify. Then conclusions and thanks, and then welcome to visit Himachal. So little introductions. Myself, Dr. Sunil. Presently, I am working in Department of Ayush in the government of Himachal Pradesh since more than 10 years. My working areas as a doctors for the patients and as nodal officers, State Medicinal Plant Board, to promote the medicinal plant cultivation in the district. So how I come across these observations, particularly in district Kangra, during these medicinal plant cultivation activities, I come across to the farmers, and I have visited their fields. So during my visits, I came across certain observations which were related with the this ethnomedicine. So being nature lovers, the curiosity lead me to explore the surrounding flora and culture related to health through these observations. And the documentation of these observations is inspired by respected gurus, particularly Dr. Azayan. I heartily thankful to him. Now, as we all know, there is a need to work on this particular aspect of ethnomedicines. So why we need to focus? As we all know, during this corona pandemic, that any model of healthcare based on a single system of medicine is inadequate to cope with all the health related challenges. Also, according to World Health Organizations, 80% of the world populations, it depends on the traditional medicines for their primary healthcare needs. Along with this, there is a concept which is called synergism, which says that multiple ingredients working together, they yield better results. As we all know, in the traditional ethnomedicine or the traditional healers, they use different types of ingredients for a particular ailments. So along with this, there is considerable economic benefits in the development of these indigenous ethnomedicines, and also there is a traditional and cultural impact of this ethnomedicinal involvement because it acts as a catalyzing effect in meeting the health sector development objectives. So now certain observations which are pertaining to Himachal Pradesh. As you know that Himachal Pradesh is one of the state which has a wide biodiversity. I can say richest source of biodiversity in the world. So this knowledge is, as you know, it's being confined to certain communities, and there are many communities, many biodiversity in different areas. So I came across the two main areas, tribal areas, during my government service. So I will talk about these two areas. You can see here in the slide. One area is Bharmor. It is in district Chamba, and another area is Dehra and Prakpar, which comes under district Kangra. So there are famous saying in these two areas by the tribal peoples, particularly the old peoples. So generally Gaddi and Gujar tribes, they are quite frequent, quite more in this area, and they use different medicinal plants or herbs which are available locally for the human beings as well as for the livestock. So I will narrate few of the saying which are very popular, just like Bana Basuti te bare jithe hoye tithe manu kyo moye, means that a man cannot die of a disease in an area where these herbs like Vitis nigundo, Bana, Adhutada vesica, and Acorus calamus, that is the bare, are found, provided that he knows how to use them. Similarly, there is another saying, Harad Beheda Amla, which pae giloe, jithe hoye char cheejan, uthe aadmi kyun moye. So there are so many similar saying. So what is the mean of this? That this saying shows that how people uses them, and what was the relevance of these traditional medicines or herbs at that times. So now you can see the place which is marked by a red circle. It is Bharmor. This place I was posted for the first time here, and you can see this is lies at an altitude of 2,500 meters to 7,000 feet from the sea level. So it harbors many local communities, and there are traditional knowledge. So during my service in this area for 7 years, I came across certain observations, so related to the food, the culture, then their drinks, and some ethnomedical uses of the local herbs, and very importantly, some unexplored herbs. So you can see the first local food, traditional food, which is not very common, but I came across and it appealed me. So this is called a lohal. No, this is a particular dish and how it is prepared. I will show you the slides. No, you can see here the particular stone which is used as a tawa to fry this paste of local grains, which are fullan, barley, wheat, and kodra. So the specialty is that this kind of traditional dish is prepared. This particular stone, which is called cal. This stone is found at high altitude mountains area at a village that is Chobia. So this stone is so much soft that it can be cut with a knife. And whenever they prepare the dishes, they scrap it, and some part of this, some particles of the stone, this remains stick to the with the dish. So, what is the ethnomedical importance that this type of preparation or this type of dish is particularly they prescribe to the diabetic and hypertensive patients. Also during their trips with their cattle, they uses it because it can be used for even more than a month without any change in its taste and quality. So now next, I noticed some cultures which were related to their daily routines. So you can see here, these traditional people, they fulfill all their needs from their local resources. So you can see they are preparing cloth from the wool from the sheep, and this kind of activities, they keep them healthy and also prevent from them hypothermia like conditions. It is supposed to be good for skin, not causing any kind of allergies, as we see in today's scenario. So now next observation which I came across is about a particular drink that is called sur. So what is the specialty of this drink? Although it is prepared by the same process as other drinks are prepared, particularly through fermentations, but here they add a particular herbs which is called mathohal. And this you can see here. This is the mathohal herbs. Although it is not identified yet, what botanically it is it. So, but its roots are quite aromatic, and they use this herb to prepare this sur. This herb is available at high mountains area, particularly in the month of August up to October. They make the powder. They make the powder of this dry root, and it is mixed with dry barley grains. With water, the small rotis are made and they are dried in a room. So once these dried rotis, they can be kept preserved for a longer period, even up to 5 to 6 years. And whenever they need to prepare this drink, these rotis are crushed and mixed with some wild rice, honey or jaggery is added. These are kept for 1 week in a wooden vessels in warm atmosphere. And after sieving, this now sur is ready to serve. So this is very common in all type of celebration, particularly in the sorrow events pertaining to deaths, etc. So also this is used for some person who are not mentally sound and or in depressions. So this is the observations regarding to drink. Now, some ethnomedical herbs they use for their common use. You can see here this is Banafsha, and it is botanically Viola odorata, and this is used for fever, cough-like conditions. The decoction is used. Now, this is Sapadotri. This is Pashan Veda in Ayurveda. These persons prevalently uses this herb for boils. As a poultice, a paste is made and then it is wrapped in a cloth and put over the inflammation or cellulitis-like conditions or over the boils. And secondly, it is used for kidney stones. Its decoction is used. Now, this is another herb which is called Khatti Gandholi. This is generally used for constipation and loss of appetite, acidity-like conditions. Its stem is used and it is chewed as it is. It is just used for chewing. It is identified as Rheum australe. Now, during my service for more than 7 years in that area, I noticed about more than 13 herbs, which unknowingly I captured in my camera, and these are unexplored. The herbs which I will going to show you, two or three herbs, which were not known or not identified before yesterday. These are identified when I talked to Dr. Azayan. He helps to identify these herbs with the help of respected Shri Sushant More. So you can say this is the herbs which is very useful, and this is Ceropegia valichii. This is this may be the source of soma, as described by Sushruta Acharya. So another herbs which unknowingly I noticed, and this has been identified as Herbinaria marginata, which is a source of Meda and Mahameda. Third one is this is Nirvisha, and this is Dinodatum delphinium, which is critically endangered. So apart from this, there were others, 12 or 13 more slides were there, and that contains the herbs which are not known and not explored yet. So I removed all these because there is a limited time. So now, after serving more than 7 years, I got transferred to district Kangra. You can see here the geography of this area. It is lies in altitude ranging from 427 meter to 6,500 feet. So when I posted to this area, I came across different observations related to ethnomedicines during the medicinal plant cultivation activities. During the medicinal plant cultivation activities, I visited the farmers' fields, and I'm feeling happy to share that at present more than 70 farmers, they are doing cultivations on a large scale. Particularly, they are cultivating Tulsi, Osmium sanctum, Sarpagandha, Provelifera serpentina, then Shatavar, Aspergillus racemosus. By adopting the purely adopting natural organic agri practices. So during my visits, I come across certain observations related to herbs, traditional healers particularly, and then some traditional vegetables, fruits, and some traditional way, and then unexplored local herbs. So no, I would describe traditional healers first. So you can see here, this herbs, this is called Karpur Binjar. Its botanical name and other things, they are still unexplored, but what you can see, this man, Mr. Pritam Singh, it is a traditional healer, and he is using this herbs to prepare an eye drops since many years for the cataract-like conditions. So to prepare this eye drops, he uses Ganga Jal, and the resin which is present on this minjar, it is dipped in Ganga Jal, and then it is sieved through finer cloths, and this preparation he is used to give to patients, and he has recorded some good outcome. So this is Karpur Minjan. Now you can see this man, he is Rajendra Singh. He is a traditional healer, and the house which is he used, it is Chitra, maybe Palumbago zelanicum, the white variety. And what is the peculiar about this herbs, that this man uses the roots of these herbs for the hydrocele or scrotal swelling like conditions. And what is more interesting, that in spite of injections, he just mix the paste of these roots with goat urine and applied on the palms of the patient. And it is assumed that as this paste started drying, the swelling start reducing. So as explained by him, and I heard from some of the persons, they got good results. So it is also a matter of research. Now, in this pic, you can see Mr. Surinder, the pad, which you can see, this is a pad of leaves, and this particularly leaves belong to a herb that is called Badi Basuti. So commonly when there is a chest infections and asthma or COPD-like conditions, they make a pad like this, and by applying some oil, particularly til tela, with salt, little salt, they apply it on the chest and kept for whole of the night, and they feel some relief. Now, the herb which you can see, this is practiced by a traditional healer, Mr. Bidhi Chand, for toothaches. So he gives a paste of the leaves and asks the patient to keep it in the caries teeth or the teeth which is aching, and the patients get relief within 5 or 10 minutes. So this may be clematis species. Now this is Karkat Shringi. This is Pistachia integrina. The gall of this herbs is very much used for the children in case of fever and cough. It is used with honey. So the next here in the slide, you can see this particular herbs. Locally, it is called Dumantili. This traditional healer named Kaushalya Devi uses these herbs, make it a powder in the dry form, and for the patients of skin allergies. Since many years she is practicing, and she has a good reputation. Many people seeks her treatment. Now you can see here two persons, Mr. Bhamar and Jagdish. They use this the bark of these herbs, which is called Kyoda, for the diabetic patients. The bark is kept dipped in water, warm water, for whole of the night, and in the morning they ask the patient to take it empty. No, there is another herb which is called Kunanda. This herb is used for gingivitis-like conditions or to prevent the caries. Normally these people uses these herbs in their day routines for brushing the teeth. Now you can see the man having a root in his hand and animals behind this man. So this is called a Baserka herb, and it is used in animals for pus forming infections. So it is used internally by mixing it with some sort of rotis, chapatis, and given to animals. Now you can see this particular herbs named Mushakani. It is practiced by Mr. Pritam Chand for the bleeding disorders, menorrhagia, metrorrhagia-like conditions in females, and also sometime in the conditions of pain in abdomen. You can see the roots of herbs, which is called Bag Nak Booty. It resembles like the nails of a tiger, and the roots paste is used for boils, for extraction of foreign body, and it is identified as Gleurosa superba. You can identify if you want. This is the herb, this is the plant, and its root is used. It's now you can see this another herbs which is called Neelkanthi in local language. It is used for cellulitis-like conditions. Its paste is made, crust and paste is made and mixed with onion and black pepper. It is also used as a poultice. Now you can see some traditional vegetables. This is Tardi, known by local name Tardi. This is Dioscorea volvifera. You can see the root is quite long, and the farmer has to put a lot of labor to get it out from the grounds. In Ayurveda, it is Barahikand. I came across one of the patients who was HIV positive, and he offered it to me. So when I inquired about this herbs, he said it is Tardi. And when I was studying this, I undergo one of the African Research Journal, which says that this herb, this vegetable or this herbs, it increases the CD4 cell count. So I asked the patient to use it, and after 3 months, when he approached to medical college for his retroviral treatments, and his CD4 cell count was investigated, it was found increased. So it is also a matter of research. You can see this is 30 herbs. No, this is traditional vegetable longku, which is quite commonly used by the traditional peoples. Some traditional fruits you can see here. This is called Akhe, and it might be a Rheum species. This is a very peculiar fruit used by local inhabitants, and you can see it's very very sweety in taste, and no any mosquito or the flies sit over it. So it is used by many old peoples as a fruit. You can see this is the plant. No, this is very common, very easily available. This is called Badakanth, and it is a kapith in Ayurveda. This is Feronia elephantum. This is jungle cherry, which is commonly used. This is a traditional fruit, which is called buada. All these herbs needs some further exploration. No, in the traditional peoples, the way of serving food is quite different from today's scenario. They use the leaves of a tree which is called tor, and it is assumed good for health. So you can see in the picture, this is the traditional way of serving food. Some unexplored herbs. During my visit to farmer fields, I came across about more than 15 herbs, which needs identifications and further explorations. So here I have kept only 1 or 2 slides. So you can see here, this is also one of the herbs which is still not known. So now, what is the conclusions of these presentations? As we all know that this is traditional medical knowledge is widely prevalent all around the world. So in developing nations, they represent this accessible and affordable media for the primary health care needs. And in developed nation also, these traditional therapies and traditional system of medicines, they are gaining more attractions, particularly the situation created by this corona pandemic. Now, there are some issues which are of concern, and they are also create some anxiety regarding the this ethno-medical aspect. There is a decline in the knowledge of these traditions in the younger generations. Many factors they are responsible for it: deforestation, tourism, heavy construction. They have badly affected this traditional flora. Now, also there is a lack of research data due to inadequate accepted methods for evaluating traditional medicine. So there is also a need to have a proper evaluation of these traditional medicines. And also the concern is of its safety, efficacy, standard dose, adulteration concerns. So these all these things has been addressed respected speakers, Dr. Vinod Kumar, Dr. T. Sridharan also. So before ending, I would like to say that I'm really very obliged and indebted to the organizers to give me an opportunity to put forth little of my observations, and have given a wonderful platform for making all us together of the like-minded peoples all over the world on a single platform. And I also expect that such kind of workshops, they should be continued in future as well, because